It's time for Takes on Takes, the episode where we offer our take on your take today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'd like to issue a thank you, welcome, and shout out to our everydayers. Those of you who never miss a single episode, we appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions apply.
Joe, happy Friday. Well, no, I have any fancy qualifiers for it. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you, Kyle Crabbs.
Thanks.
How are you, man? You good?
I'm great. Yeah.
My dad used to have a friend that would stay with us sometimes. And he would wake up real early every single time he would stay with us. And he'd go out in the backyard and he'd jump rope and he'd sing this song. He'd go, pumped up, fired up, motivated.
I've heard you say that.
Yeah, man. I just thought about that in this moment. So
I think the last time I heard you say that was one of our draft shows.
Got to get going sometime.
Like when everybody was, or maybe it was a combine, but it was we were in like a group of people and it was like 6 a.m. and it was like the fifth day and everybody's a little grumpy just because it's like, man, I'm tired. These days are grinds.
Bring the juice, baby.
Marino, pumped up, fired up, motivated.
Shout out. I'm not going to say his name, but shout out to that guy. He was fun.
He's probably glad. He's not.
I got a strong feeling he does not listen to this episode or this podcast. I'm not sure that he has a smartphone. I don't think he knows what a podcast is.
He's off the grid a little bit.
But I'll tell you what. Dude is rocked up, man.
He was pumped up, fired up, motivated every day.
Pumped up, fired up, motivated every day. All right, Kyle Crabbs, Takes on Takes is the objective today. The kind listeners have supplied us with a multitude of options, so we've went through them. Got like 14, 15 of them today. A lot of football, a couple of not football things, some aesthetics of football. Good variety today, so let's do it. I want to start with this one. This one I hate that I didn't get to last week. I had it on the sheet. Somehow I overlooked it, and I have it queued up for the number one. Yeah, I really come on, man. A little slip there. This one I like. It's from Kyle. That's not you. It's a different Kyle. Kyle says NFL teams should be allowed to put their drafted rookies on the practice squad without them being subjected to waivers. The current system punishes teams with good rosters.
Yeah, because they want parity across the league.
So what do you think about the take? You understand why maybe that's the case?
I understand the point of the take, and I think they're, in theory, yes, you would like to have more protections for your draft picks, but the point is the league is a parity-driven league, so they don't care if you have a good roster. Pick your best 53 players, and those are the 53.
How could you say that it is a parity-driven league to some extent, but like 5 different quarterbacks have won the Super Bowl in the last 20 years, right?
Okay, I'm not talking about the ultimate prize. I mean, we had the NFC East. Has there been consecutive division winners for the last 15 years?
So you think that this hurts the parity of the league?
I think it would. It goes against the spirit of the idea of a parity-driven league to say, hey, Baltimore Ravens, great job assembling a great roster, and you had 15 draft picks. We're going to let you keep them all longer anyway.
Here's my actual take on this guy's take. I don't think that this should happen. I think that there has to be controls. It's too aggressive. You can't just draft 20 players and have a spot for them on the practice squad. And maybe that's not what he means. Like, it still have to fit within the 16-man practice squad.
Yeah.
This is what I think you should be able to do. Designate one every year. Like, just designate one. Because I think that would help some of these guys maybe get drafted that are a little bit more raw. Or need because there really is no developmental opportunity in the NFL. Like, you either make the 53 and you don't. So I think I'd like to see just like one protected draft pick practice squad allocation.
I don't know.
I know you think it's sticky.
Slippery slope.
All right, I get it. I think it is too, but that was my meat in the middle. All right, next one here comes from Steven. Very relevant piece of news. Matt Milano injured. The take from Steven is that with the injury to Matt Milano, the Bills defense finishes outside the top 10 in total defense.
Total defense.
It's yard, right? That's yards.
A measure. Yards.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably still fade this. Just because the track record with Sean McDermott, and I understand a lot of that was with a certain nucleus, and you're in the midst of transitioning what that nucleus looks like as far as who the pillar players are on your defense. It's been so good. They've been so good defensively. So I will pass. I still think they're 8, 9, 10 as compared to maybe 5, 6, 7, but I still think they make the cut.
Yeah, actually, I realizing McDermott's defenses have ranked pretty well. His first year in Buffalo, 26th in total defense, then 2, 3, 14, 1, 2, and 4. It's the combination of Matt Milano's injury plus the transition. And what's interesting about the transition is you think about that being Trey White, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde. Has Trey White really been a factor the last 2 years he's been injured? Micah Hyde missed 2 years ago the entire season, and last year Micah Hyde wasn't Micah Hyde. And I think Jordan Poyer has either had to play through injuries or played out of position that's kind of taken away from him being what he was his first 5 years in Buffalo over the last 2.
Yeah.
I think there's enough there for me to say, yeah, I can see it. How good's the defensive line going to be? I think that's what it's going to be rooted in, but I think there's a path. But I figured you would say something along the lines of your belief in kind of the scheme that they run and how it really forces offenses to stack plays and like eventually that stalls out. And so like there's enough trust in the scheme that it could be limiting. I think he's got a good chance of being true. I think it might be closer to 10, but I don't think it's going to be like a bad defense.
Yeah, I think they'll probably be an 8 through 12.
Yeah. They didn't have Matt Milano after week 5 last year. So.
Right.
And next one here comes from Aqua and Orange, who says, despite being 12th in current odds, Jared Goff is a favorite to win MVP this year due to the Lions' likelihood of winning a lot of games and his ability to put up some impressive numbers in Ben Johnson's system.
I just don't think there's how much better is Jared Goff going to have to be than his peers for the people who decide on that award to get over the pre-existing bias that exists with that player.
I think the path is the Lions are like 15-2, clear number 1 seed, and Jared Goff has like good numbers. What's interesting about like Lamar Jackson, that's the Lamar Jackson path last year. Lamar Jackson is the least statistically impressive MVP in the history of the NFL, but because the team was the clear number 1 seed, he didn't like have bad turnovers. He was able to win that award. So what if they're 15-2 and he has better stats than Lamar? And you could poke holes in Mahomes, you could poke holes in Allen, poke holes in Jackson, poke holes in whatever other players you call it, you Burrow, whatever players. I think it's unlikely for him to be the favorite, but I think that's your path.
It might not be I don't even think I would take like the dice roll.
No, yeah. You're just
like,
making a donation. Yeah, we love our friends at FanDuel, but you're just making a donation here. So the next one more Lions stake here. This one comes from Josh, who says Jameson Williams finishes top 3 in the NFL in yards per catch among receivers with a minimum of 50 catches. Is the interesting part of this, does Jameson Williams have 50 catches?
That was going to be my reaction was, does he get that many balls? Because realistically, if Jameson Williams, who we're probably going to associate his role within the offense as a lower high completion targets, right? He is a more low percentage target with what he does. If we're perceiving him to be a Z receiver who is the vertical guy who helps create the lift on the roof, which then creates the space in the middle of the field, right? Is that fair to say that's what your expectation should be for what Jameson Williams is as a player?
I think he's capable of more. I don't know if he's going to have that opportunity or he's going to showcase it. But yeah, I think that's probably the safe expectation.
That's the safe expectation. That's traditionally what, a 55 to 60% completion percentage on target rate, which means how many targets are you going to need to get 50 balls if you're getting 60% of your targets? I mean, if it's 50%, obviously we can do that math. It's 100 targets. So you're talking like 80 plus targets for Jameson Williams this year.
That's where I get hung up as well, Kyle, because I think Amon-Ra St. Brown's the one. Sam Laporta's the two. Last year, Jahmyr Gibbs had 71 targets. Josh Reynolds had 64 targets. So, like, maybe you look at those. So, Josh Reynolds, 64 vacated targets. Jameson Williams had 42 last year in 12 games. Is there enough? And that's even if you added all those up, you're still not at 100. I don't know. I think it'd be tough. And they like Caleb Freeman as like an ancillary piece of this equation. I think it's gonna be close, but it's probably in the 40s.
I would say 40 to 45 is more probable. So if you said Jameson Williams leads the league in receptions amongst receivers with 40 yards or more, I think he's got a decent 40 catches. Yeah, I think there's a decent chance he profiles as the right kind of receiver based on what our expected role is.
Yeah.
I just don't think he gets that volume.
I hope he does. I like Jameson Williams, but we'll see.
Same.
All right. Fun stuff to get to on the other side of it. Folks, be sure to stick with us. The NFL season is here. So many high-profile games that I know you want to get to. Well, if you want to go to NFL games this fall, you got to download the Game Time app. Game Time is the fast and easy way to purchase tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. I love the app. It's awesome. It's easy to navigate. They specialize in last-minute tickets. They give you flash deals. That was kind of fun. I logged in the other day and got offered a flash deal. Unfortunately, couldn't go to the event, but it looked like a great deal. They give you a seat view so you know what to expect. Plus, they're all in prices, which I love. No surprise processing fees coming at the end. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Cal, this next one feels aggressive. Let's see what you think here. Guy Bub, he says the Carolina Panthers will not score more than 14.5 points on offense for the first 6 games of the season. I know what you're thinking. What are the first 6 games? At the Saints, hosting the Chargers, at the Raiders, hosting the Bengals, at the Bears. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the last game would be hosting Atlanta. Come on, 14. They can't score more than 14 points one time.
Offensively. No, this is 14.5. I'm assuming he says average across.
Yeah, I said more than 14 points. He's sung a single game and will not score more than 14.5 points on offense for the first 6 games. My interpretation there is that every single game the Panthers play in the first 6, the offense will score less than 14.
They will score more than 14 points against the Chargers. If you told me it was an aggregate, it was a average for the first 6 weeks. And I don't think it's a coincidence that he had that cutoff before they played at Washington, at Denver, and Giants in a 3 out of 4 game stretch there immediately after the first 6 weeks. But if you told me it was average across the first 6 weeks offensively, I think he might have an interesting.
That's such a low point total in the NFL, man.
Right, but hear me out. At Saints defense is good.
Right, it's be the thing that's good. The Chargers are the one, right?
The Chargers, we've established. I think they'll score more.
Home game, home opener, you know?
At Raiders. Raiders was a top 10 defense.
I don't feel good about that. Year. I don't feel good about that.
Bengals.
Probably unlikely, but like I think you look at it like that.
What do
man.
the Bengals not do good defensively?
Stop the run.
Is Carolina the team to capitalize on that?
I hope so. Kyle Crabbs, with the offensive line that they have, I sure as hell hope so, that they can run the ball a little bit
Or
this year.
they just gonna be more of a 3 yards and clown. They're not like an
I don't know.
explosive run game.
Come on, man.
What do the backs look like in week 3?
They can't
Didn't
stumble
Chuba Hubbard get
into a
hurt?
touchdown and a field goal and then a garbage touchdown late in the game to get 17 points once here.
Maybe it's a defensive touchdown, but that's the point, is it's offensive.
I understand that. I think that they will do it. Here's the thing that I'll say about what Bub and I have been talking a little bit, and we both find it a little bit curious that Dave Canales is choosing not to play his starters at all in the preseason. And on one hand, I kind of look at the Carolina Panthers, the 2024 Carolina Panthers, with Bryce Young, new pieces on offense, and a new coaching staff. If there ever was a team in the history of the NFL that should probably get some live game reps for your starters, it's probably them during the preseason, and they're not going to. And I think Bub is kind of bleeding that conversation into some concerns about Carolina, plus the schedule early to say that it won't happen. I think it will.
Hey, did you link up with Goodwin yet?
I'm going to stumble into something right now, but I have not.
Goody. He's on their staff.
Oh, yeah. He's the O-line coach. Yeah, good.
He's the assistant head coach, run game coordinator. We've met Harold Goodwin when he was at Tampa a number of times, and had some great conversations with him. So he's obviously just hop, skip, and a jump away from you. So I wasn't sure if you linked up with him yet.
Yeah, should do that for sure. Carter with a fun one here. Carter says, I'm firmly against the idea that throwback uniforms being teams' full-time uniforms. Their throwbacks and their nostalgia factor is strong for a reason. If throwbacks become the full-time uniform, they lose the factor that makes them special.
No, I think good uniforms look like good uniforms. And I think that's why people like a lot of the throwbacks, is because the aesthetics of old school football transcends the modern, sleek, extra noisy flair of a lot of the uniforms today. When's the last time you had a modern uniform design that wasn't simple, that you were like, ooh, I like that?
It doesn't happen. And boy, Kyle, these Texans and Broncos uniforms stink, man. Have you seen them in the preseason?
The Broncos uniforms are awful.
Dude, they stink so bad.
They're awful.
And I really hate the Texans. That horn coming off the sleeve is cringe.
Like, shame on the Broncos, because they put together like the old school one simultaneously.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is hold it up side by side. And it's like, it just aesthetically looks better. But it's like, oh, we already did that. We can't do that anymore. Right. Why?
I can appreciate part of what he's saying here. And I think there's like, for some of these throwback uniforms, like whatever the hell the Giants are going to wear in week 1, those, the Bumblebees for the Steelers, whatever the heck the Packers wear on Thanksgiving sometimes, the Jets and those Titans uniforms, like, yeah, leave those in the bag for every once in a while. Though nobody's asking for those. But for some of these 70s, 80s, 90s throwbacks that are just flat out better than what they have, and their ones that they have right now are bad, yes, like give me that, because they're simply better, not because of the nostalgia factor.
Oh, we're going to do the thing.
Oh, God.
Just real quick. The LA Rams, what do you determine, like the mustard yellow and blue? Is that what we're determining is like their old school?
Yeah, not Kurt Warner Rams. I think old school Rams. I think like Jim Everett Rams.
Yeah, so the yellow, not the gold.
Yeah, the yellow. Yeah.
Because they changed after they won that first Super Bowl.
Right.
You like the old school like better than now?
I'm not really in on the Rams kit right now.
It's modern. It works, but I would take the old school horn and all that stuff. Sure. Seattle with their throwbacks.
1,000,000%.
That's
so
like just make those. It's the modern version of the throwback, right? I'm going to try to pick and choose our spots here. Tampa Bay creamsicles,
elite. Give it to me all the time.
Atlanta, didn't they just get new uniforms?
Yeah, they stink.
Yeah.
The gradient and ATL and like weird. No, bad.
Let's go with the Falcon with the
Reds, the red
the red helmet.
God, they're so good.
Top.
Even when they just don't have, like the Chris Chandler Falcons, those ones are good too compared to what they have. And the Vic Falcons are so bad, dude. I can't believe they put them in those.
Let's see. Philly, Kelly Greens.
Exceptional uniform.
Yeah. Miami, throwbacks.
Right.
Dude, even the Patriots. with Patriot Pat with the Reds.
So
like
good.
The Royal Reds. Those things are hot. Jacksonville, I'll be interested to see what they're – I think theirs are going to rock.
Yeah, the OGs, they look so good.
Yeah, but their new ones work, but they work because they're simple. Like Arizona's works because it's simple. Their remodel.
Right.
Tennessee, that's kind of a weird one where like –
it's like a different team, yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'm good.
All right, Joe at work says next offseason, Patrick Surtain and Sauce Gardner will both become the highest paid cornerback in the NFL, exceeding the previous record by $5 million. That's the interesting part there.
Oh.
Is it a $5 million reset?
You've seen some of that, right? You've seen some big jumps, some like disproportionately big jumps.
Right, at edge, at receiver, at offensive tackle, at linebacker. It happens. And right now you have Jair at 21. Do you think those guys come in at 26?
Sure. I think 25 is more likely, but sure, I think there's a big jump there because it's been stagnant for like 3 years.
August says Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers will combine for 1,500 yards from scrimmage in 2024. That feels aggressive.
That is aggressive. Because you still have Devontae Adams on this roster.
Right, in an offense that I don't think is going to be that good.
Right. I'd pass.
Yeah.
That's a little too rich. If
I'm out on that.
12, I'd probably buy it 12.
One last Raiders take from Jose. The Raiders finished comfortably in second place in the AFC West, have a shot at the playoffs, and Zamir White rushes for 1,000 yards.
I think it would take all of that.
Yeah, I'm in on all of that too. Yep. Second place team, shot at the playoffs, 1,000 yards for Zamir White. I'm in.
Yep.
All right, we got a take that people said wouldn't be on the show coming up here on the other side of it. Be sure to stick with us. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't even visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. So hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
All right.
They said, I guarantee this one won't make the show.
I don't know why. I don't know why this felt like this like taboo. We wouldn't touch it.
Josiah says Travis Hunter will win the Heisman Trophy.
If you told me that Travis Hunter was the best player in college football this year, I'd probably buy it. But the problem is the Heisman Trophy is often not awarded to the best player in college football. It's awarded to the most outstanding player in college football, whatever that means. What kind of season does Colorado have to have for him to be considered in this hierarchy of players? Because there's no question he's the most valuable, might be the most valuable player in the country because he plays both sides, wide receiver and corner. He's elite, at least at college level at both. He's going to be a stellar pro prospect. But if you don't scratch a certain height in college football, you generally don't get considered for this very frequently at all.
Can't be like a 5-win team, 6-win team.
Yeah. That's my concern for Travis Hunter.
I think the interesting about the Heisman Trophy race this year is that, I don't know, man, feels like it's pretty wide open, right? I mean, do you feel like, you're not going into this year right now thinking anybody's like the slam dunk, like I expect this guy to do it. So
yeah, I think the usual suspects will be there. Who's your quarterback of your 1-seed SEC team?
Carson Beck or Jalen Milroe or
right?
Who the Garrett Nussmeier?
Yeah, maybe you'll get Donovan Edwards from
Yeah.
Michigan. He's going to get all the carries.
Right.
He's a workhorse this year if he stays healthy.
Maybe DJ Uiagalelei at Florida State, Kyle Crabbs.
You know what? I'm pretty confident is not going to happen. DJ Uiagalelei at Florida State being a finalist.
Dan and Bob says, with the cost of certain positions rising fast, teams are going to start to explore positions by committee outside of running back. Example, teams paying big money to a franchise quarterback going wide receiver by committee, like the Bills, Chiefs, Packers, Jaguars, and Chargers, rather than paying one guy $30 million. It's already happening. Like, it's not all the time, but some teams are doing that, but some teams aren't.
Yeah. But it's
also, is there other positions where this comes into to play? Like, you're going to have a committee defensive end rotation or something?
But you already do that too. The argument is just not investing top dollar for individual players. So I think that's more the part that you have to decide, because it's always been about a room in those rooms,
right?
In those positions. And I think everybody invests in every position, hoping that you find a star player at it.
Right.
But it's the dollars you're willing to commit to doing so because of what the ultimate impact of that position. So wide receiver, I still think is going to be really important. But if you have Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen, you get a little bit more leash because those guys dummy proof your ability to create explosive plays and manufacture a lot of offense.
Yeah, it's going to be more circumstantial.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes. Sure. Right.
Sometimes, yes. But sometimes.
Adam says the NFC South will finish the season with under 20 and a half wins as a division. Come on. That's crazy, right?
20 and a half.
That's so few. Like, if the Falcons win 10 and the Bucks win 8, we're at 18. We need like 5 wins from the Saints and Panthers to get there. Smash the over here.
You could probably give me 30 and a half.
Wow. So, like, conservatively, Atlanta wins 10 or 11 games. The Bucks win 8 or 9. The Saints win 5 to 7. The Panthers win around 4 or 5.
4 or 5? I think they get more than that.
Panthers?
Yeah. Give me over on 5. Give me 6.
Okay, so you see it as like 6, 7, 9, and 10?
Yeah. I think there's like 30 between 31 and 33 wins in the South.
All right, so 20 and a half. I mean, we don't want you to come in here with the soft stuff, but I feel like come spike the ball, Adam. If you get that right, you spike the ball, brother.
If you get that, you deserve to give us swirlies and the whole 9 yards.
We'll take it. Matt comes in. Pop-Tarts come up a lot. It's crazy. Matt says Pop-Tarts are the most overrated food in America. Filling is barely even there, and I don't even think you can call it bread.
It's definitely not bread.
Part of it is downright unpleasant to eat by itself. But okay. Are Pop-Tarts overrated at all? Like, are people sitting there saying that this is like the most amazing food that you could possibly eat?
Not anymore. Pop-Tarts used to be a thing, like, I feel like when we were kids, and they're still on the shelves. And I think like parents like them because they're easy. You hand the kid a pastry and the kid eats the pastry, and that's it. There's no assembly required. Maybe you put it in a toaster for 30 seconds and warm it up.
I promise you, my crunchy wife ain't having Pop-Tarts in the house. There's no chance of it. I'd be willing to bet that you don't have Pop-Tarts in your house.
We don't have Pop-Tarts in our house.
Like, I don't know anybody that's giving their kids Pop-Tarts.
I'm sure there's a lot of parents that are giving their kids Pop-Tarts, but it's because of the convenience of it and not because the kid's like, man, I really love my Pop-Tarts.
Right, these are just so freaking good. So I think where you lose me here, Matt, is I don't think Pop-Tarts are overrated. I don't think anybody's...
Because they've been not rated for a long time.
Do you have a food?
There's been a shift. They've fallen off. You had a question. Go ahead.
Yeah. Do you have what do you think is like a super overrated food? I'll say any form of soup. Not really into soup. My wife makes some good soups though. Maybe that was aggressive.
Can I say nachos?
Oh, sure.
Because nachos can be good, but the vast majority of nachos, you just end up eating chips. What percentage of nachos that you pull out of the pile that aren't sitting directly on the top?
It's a sticky situation. Yeah, there's a science to eating that pyramid, you know?
You need to eat in the first 20% of the time window that there is to eat nachos, and then not eat for the other 80% of the time, because the other 80% of the time you're just eating tortilla chips.
I think chocolate ice cream's overrated. I think there's so many other better. Because I think, gosh, I'm going to go back and listen to that because I don't think I say it weird. I don't think I do. Don't think I do. Let's get this one in for a bow, unless you have an underrated food. Oh, you already said it, or overrated. Nachos, and I said chocolate, whatever, ice cream. Bo, I want to know what Bo's getting at with this one. This one felt a little crazy to me. 6 playoff teams will enter the playoffs with quarterbacks that were not their week 1 starter. Like literally almost half the playoff field. What don't I know? What don't I know here? That's what I need to know.
Please hold. Okay, so he's presumably talking about Atlanta, right?
Okay, so you think Penix comes in at some point and replaces Kirk?
If we're gonna get the 6 teams, that has to be one of them.
I mean, if he would have said 3, I'd have been like, that seems crazy. He went 6. Who else is doing this? Cleveland, because they did it last year.
Cleveland, because they did it.
Okay, Pittsburgh. He thinks Fields is going to replace Russ.
3. The Raiders make the playoffs in this scenario. They have to.
So you think that's like O'Connell replaces Minshew at some point and they get there?
Yeah. The Saints. Are the Saints a wild card team and they bench Derek Carr for Spencer Rattler? I'm just thinking of places that like people are buzzy about the quarterbacks that aren't the starters.
Kyle, we are stretching to get to 4 here.
Yeah. I'm probably selling this take.
I'm selling hard, but that's what I was like. I wanted to bring this up because I'm like, what don't I know here?
No, I think we're in the same boat. We're
all right.
So who was it that gave that take?
Bo.
Give us your 6.
Yeah, give us your 6 and spike the ball if you're right about that, please.
And then we want to know and be on the record for who they are. All right. That is going to do it for us here on Takes on Takes. The mailbag always deliver, and we're glad that you guys came through with a bunch of fun takes to bring this week to a close. I'm Kyle Crabbs. He is Joe Marino. You can find us on YouTube or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Make it a great weekend. Enjoy the preseason football ahead. And we'll be back to talk to you all again on Monday.